Greetings gastronauts, this is Keef Cooks, I'm Keef, and today I am going to make a pie. I'm going to make a sausage and apple pie. Oh yeah! This one was requested by Mr. Pie Chips and Baked Beans, who is, obviously, there's a clue in the name, massive pie fan, and he's left a comment, he said he'd just finished looking at all of my pie videos, every single one. And he says, in case I run out of pie ideas, here's another one. This one, sausage and apple pie. Sounds like a made-up thing, but then, what isn't? Anyway, this is my interpretation of a sausage and apple pie. Hope you like it. If you enjoy this video, give it a like, share, subscribe, etc. And let's do it. Okay, first job is to make some pastry. Obviously, you can buy ready-made pastry. And if you're a frequent watcher of this channel, you'll know that I prefer to make my own, unless it's puff pastry or flaky. In this case, I'm going to make basically a short crust pastry. So that involves 250 grams of plain flour, all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of salt, 75 grams each of butter and lard. Or you could use shortening, or you could use all butter or all lard, or, you know, whatever you like. And just enough water to make it come together in a ball, which is usually about 125 ml, about half a cup, but we'll see. So mix your salt in with the flour, and I'll put it in the stand mixer bowl. And then you need to add the fat, and you want it in little pieces. I had thought earlier of freezing it and then grating it, but then completely didn't, so it's a bit too warm for that. So I'll cut those into bits and put them in there. So there we go. And now mix it with the paddle attachment. You can do this by hand, just by rubbing it in with your fingertips, but this is easier and quicker. After a bit, you'll end up with a mixture that looks like coarse breadcrumbs. There we go. Like that. And now I'll just gradually add the water. That'll do it. I think I might have added a little bit too much. Now I'm going to wrap this in plastic film and stick it in the fridge to rest for half an hour. Right, now I'm going to start making the filling. So basically what it is sausage meat. I'm going to make my own. You don't have to. You can buy sausage meat ready-made if you want, or you can actually buy your favourite sausages and get the meat out the skins and use that. But as I said, I'm making my own. So first of all, what I need is a seasoning mix, and I'm basing mine on Cumberland sausage seasoning, which is quite peppery, and that's the way I like it. And I've got 500 grams of meat, so this will be the right quantity to season that properly. So 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 of white, 2 teaspoons of sage, 1 teaspoon of mace, and 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So whack the lid on that and shake it to bits. Now I want my pork filling to be quite savoury, so I'm going to add an onion. So peel and chop it. And magic knife it. Now we need to soften these before we put them into the meat mixture. So just gently heat a bit of oil on low heat, add these, let them cook for about 5 minutes till they're kind of translucent, but you don't want them to go brown. Then remove the onion from the heat and transfer it to a bowl or a plate and let it cool down completely before you add it to the raw meat. Okay, next job, make apple stuff. And my vision for this pie is a fairly solid chunk of sausage meat topped with a liquid apple sauce kind of thing, but maybe with some solid chunks of apple in there as well. I think I know what I mean. So you need a couple of apples. I've got Granny Smiths. In the UK, Bramley apples are traditionally used for things like this, but increasingly hard to find. But the idea of these kinds of apples is they don't turn completely to mush. I'm gonna just cut the wobbly ends off because I have this highly advanced machine for peeling, coring and slicing, and you should get one, and you can do so by clicking the link down below. And if you do click that link, I'll get a penny and it won't cost you any more. Okay. This is fun. It's ridiculous design, but it does kind of work. So what you do is press that lever, pull that, whack your apple on. Also works with taties. Yeah. And then turn it that way, and it will hit this blade, which will follow around the apple and take 90% of the skin off. But then the magic bit, this is the corer and slicer bit, and I need to tighten that up so it don't move. Here we go. So that's getting sliced there. The peel has given up, but we have an apple spring. That is so cool, isn't it? I'll have to peel that by hand. Yeah. We'll slice these into quarters. Right, over to the stove and we'll make the sauciness. Now I'm going to melt a lump of butter in a frying pan or skillet, add a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar, 3 or 4 tablespoons of water, and then add the apple and just let that gently stew until it's turned to something like applesauce. And you might want to add a bit of cinnamon. Okay, finally time to make the meat mixture. So I've got my 500 grams of pork mince, I've got my softened onion and my seasoning mix, so we'll just add those a bit at a time, mix them in. Wish that you'd got some latex gloves instead of these loose fitting things. Just keep on squeezing it and mixing it till it's more or less homogenised. Okay, put that in the fridge till we're ready for it. Okay, time to assemble a pie. So you won't find a pie dish. This is actually a cake tin, but I've opted to use this one because it's fairly deep. And that is 18.5 centimetres, 7.5 inches internal diameter. So flour on your worktop, some of the pastry. I think we'll have far too much here, but that's alright because then we make other pies. So roll it out. Now I've sprinkled the inside with a bit of rice flour, and also I'm going to sprinkle one side of the pastry with the same stuff, and it'll stop it sticking to the tin, we hope. Alright, just arrange it so there's a bit of a rim going on there, and cut off any excess. And fill it with filling. So spoon the pork in. Try and get a nice smooth even layer. And then top it with the apple. This is going to be a bit marvellous, I think. Okay, now I'm going to make the lid. I'm going to do a lattice lid because I have a lattice roller. Just roll out a bit of pastry that's about half the width that you need, because we're going to stretch it. So before we do the stretching, I'll moisten the rim with water. Cross my fingers and pop it on. Not the easiest thing in the world, but I think that looks pretty good. So we'll trim off the excess. Now I'll just tidy up the edge with a strip of pastry. Now we need a beaten egg to glaze it with. Paint the pastry all over. It's a bit tricky this because there's not much of it. Okay, you want your oven heating to 180 degrees Celsius for a fan oven, convection oven or air fryer oven, and that's 200 for a normal one, and that's gas 6. And we'll put this in for about 45 minutes. Alright, time's up, let's have a look. Yeah, looks alright. I'll let that cool down somewhat and then try and get it out the tin. By the way, this is something you can have hot or cold, so no panic. I am hungry though. Okie dokie, here it is. So let's dig in. Oh, there we are. Here we go then. Taste test time, yes! And this looks a bit marvellous, I think. That is magnificent. You should make it. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.